Thank you for joining us. This is Drive Field Productivity with GeoAnalytics. My name is John Stewart. I'm the CEO and co-founder of CloudBuilt. With me today is Chris Jones, a senior manager for First Data Corporation.
Hey.
Hi. Okay. So first off, a little about First Data. First Data is one of those companies where, whether you know it or not, you're probably one of their customers. They process a large majority of the credit card transactions that go on in the world. They are probably embedded in more places than you know, including most recently the whole Apple Pay is being driven by the First Data technology. So they're very broad, and they have quite a large field sales team.
And also we're going through a large transformation in our business, so we're not so worried so much now about just the contract. It's more about our interactions with you as a client and driving more dialogue. Okay, so my relationship with First Data began at this point 3 Dreamforces ago with this man over here, Chris Jones, where we first came to market with the idea of the MapAnything product and talking through all the different challenges that First Data had and their sister businesses managing the large number of field salespeople in the world. They have easily over 1,000 employees, feet in the street. Their model is such that they have to touch a large number of clients on a daily basis in order to drive the volumes necessary to grow their business. They're primarily a Salesforce Sales Cloud client, although they're looking at some other areas now. And they are a Salesforce one shop and are moving in that direction. Now, the challenge that First Data had was being able to manage in such a way that it's effective to have all those salespeople be as productive as possible. So the gaps that we're helping First Data with is to make sure we maximize the time the field salespeople spend in the field through what we call schedule optimization. Also, it happens to all of us if we're in field sales. I'm in Chicago, I'm in a certain neighborhood, my appointment cancels. Well, how do I make the best use of my time? I don't just go home or go to the next one. One of the best use cases we have with First Data is this idea of opening up MapAnything on Salesforce One and saying, okay, what's nearby that I can go visit right now? And those appointments of opportunity. They've had a lot of, they're continuing to grow, and they're in a rapid growth mode, and the territories are shifting. And so, unlike the past, the reps might not be as familiar as their territories today as they might have been a year ago or so. So with that shift and with that radical growth that they're undergoing, understanding and being able to visualize those territories is a way to make sure those reps are as productive as possible, especially with the now pretty diverse product set that First Data offers. In the past, it was really credit card transactions. Now they offer their security products. They offer their unbelievable Clover system, which is a point-of-sale system that they're pushing out into market. So it presents a new selling model that they have to really understand that territory. And the next thing, of course, is the ability to basically streamline their calls. So we all know this if we're Salesforce shops. Our reps are not as good about documenting things as we'd like them to be, right? Furthermore, sometimes it's a little bit freelance the way they do it. Well, we've introduced this idea of these geographic-based dispositions or workflow where they check into the account, it's paint by numbers with regards to what they have to fill out, and they basically have checked out and dispositioned that call. And now it becomes a structured type of reporting that First Data is able to actually do analytics on and really understand if those territories are being worked. So the product that we offer is MapAnything. It's a 100% GeoAnalytic product built natively on Salesforce.com. We offer the AppExchange on a per user per month product licensing model. Do you have the next slide? We can do both standard and native objects, as well as we have the ability to do some very complex queries which let you surface data. We have shape layer overlays for boundary management. We have routing and traffic. We have the ability to plot massive amounts of data. We did design this application from the ground up to work with enterprise class clients like First Data, true enterprise class clients. And we're part of basically the Salesforce One collection. So part of our working with John and the real benefit of this that we as First Data gained was John's team are phenomenal. They really do help us to customize this tool. And those things that we come up with, they embed in the tool for everybody else.
So some of this stuff that we're going to show you today was actually driven from conversations that John and I had, and hopefully you'll get the benefit of it too.
I was about to say 100% true. So one of the things when we started working with Chris is we didn't want basically a toolkit, we wanted a product. So anytime there was a feature, and they're your typical enterprise class client, we didn't do a services project. We actually took the requirements, generalized it in a way, and actually made it a feature into the product. And there's lots of stuff there as you go through over a 2-year period where we really worked with Chris and his team to actually bring an enterprise class geocentric application to market for Salesforce.
So our results of this, we really started to now engage clients and prospects where they are and at their time and with their cooperation. We managed to be able to fill schedule gaps. So every salesperson out in the field has this scenario. Somebody calls and says, don't come and see me at 10 o'clock, I'm really busy today. Make it another day. Well, what do? Some people just go take a cup of coffee. Our people can now go in and they can choose another client to go see where they are. So in the past, that was sometimes difficult because you'd look through lists and try and remember where an address is. In this case, you just plot it out on the map, you pull it up, you look at it, and you go, I want to go see that person. And you can add that into your route, and that route is then dynamically changed to make sure that you still meet appointments in the future. Our sales managers can see into what the reps are doing. This is not looking at where they are every single minute of the day, because we can't do that. But we can see, are they meeting their visits? Are they going to certain places? Are they tracking their activities? And then for our senior level executives, it gives them a deeper visibility into the demographic of our clients, where they are in the world. Have we got appropriate coverage for that, and where things are popping up? So I'm going to show you a demo here. So just let me quickly switch over. So hopefully you can see this. What I've done here is I created a video here of the things that a sales rep would do. So John's team built us the corporate folders. This allows us as administrators to build a series of queries that we place out there for our sales reps. We don't need them to worry about how to do certain things. They can if they have time, but we built queries that are looking for opportunities, cross-selling opportunities, open activities, open opportunities, their branch visits, and then we're able to plot these out on the screen. So very simply here, we plotted the RSA branches for them. This is this particular sales rep's, business consultants. So this is her territory in this case, because this is Susan. And so she's working out where she's going to go on this journey. So she's plotted all of these out. With a single click, we can see all this information underneath each of those markers. And we can see when the last visits were, who the contacts are at that particular branch. Our model is that we go visit them on a regular basis, and we sit down and we talk with different people at the branch. And then also MapAnything has this concept of layering. For us oldies with the grey hair, this is very much an analogy to the old days of the overhead projector, and you put an acetate and keep layering them on. As you can see, this is exactly what's happening here. In this case, she's placed her leads out there now. So her branches are there and her leads are there. And we can click in and out of these as we go. So she's also going to place out there her non-activated opportunities. So this is things that she's already sold, but now she wants to go visit again, wondering why they're not activated. Why haven't we got the money coming in, right? So we built up this layer in the map of all the different places that she could visit. And each one of these has information underneath it that you can drive to. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make a shape around this. So she knows her area and she says, you know what? I want to go and visit all of these places today. And I'm just going to draw a simple shape around it. And when that's done, with a single click, she can now create all of those points on the map into ready for a route to be created. Single click. So that was 8 places suddenly moved from the map across to the route. So any of you out there done field sales, this is a pain in the butt, right? This is difficult work. Well, how easy was that? You saw it real time happen. There was no editing, no fancy stuff behind the screens. One click, done. So now what she's doing is she's looking at these and deciding, you know, is there certain things I need to do or an order? She has one particular one that she knows she has to be at a certain time. All of the rest are floating. So in this case, she's going to go ahead and pick a time that's suitable with that client and say, look, I'm going to have an hour here that we're going to communicate. And then she optimizes the route. So right at this point, MapAnything has gone out and it has made decisions about what order to place these in and which is the best way to get from one to the other. Now, there is other enhancements coming that we can plot a start point and an end point and mark those in so they can be standard default places. She could set a home location as part of this and again be able to plot this route. It's optimized the route for the best travel time and included that point where she has to be there at 11 o'clock. So that's very important because sales reps have to meet certain criteria. Now, it's a little hard to see, but hopefully you can. Right in here, there's actually time durations between each place and how long it's going to take optimally to get to each place. One thing you're not going to see on here is actually MapAnything also has a traffic capability. It's the little traffic lights. If I click that, it places the traffic on top of there and will show me if there's problems and issues that I have to juggle this around so that I can say extend a route or spend a time between place 1 and 2 because I see that that particular journey is going to be long. So as you can see, they're manipulating all of this information. Simple point click, you can drive underneath these. And you could even change the order of these by just dragging them. Pick them up and move them to wherever we need them to go. So we're just going to, I'm following the video here down here. I was obviously speaking less when I was doing it, or speaking more when I was making the video than I am right now. So we'll see if we can skip ahead in a minute. So what happened here was she got a phone call and one of those markers on that route needed to be changed. They had to take one out and she's going to put another one back in a minute. And so you can see that the route stopped. Now we're going back out to our list of queries. And on those list of queries, she says, you know what, I'm going to try and see if I've got a bank lead, a new lead that's just come in inside. Didn't have one there. All right, so I'm going to try a different one. All the time, this is allowing her to find something new, right? Fill that gap. That gap is gone. What are we going to do? How are we going to put somebody back in there to make sure that I'm not wasting that time of my day? So we have all these pre-built queries, and because we've got these activities coming in constantly, every few minutes, we've got more and more leads traveling, we're going to now add another one in. So we find a new one, we go to the action menu, and very simply with another click, we can add that person in or out as necessary. Re-optimize the route, we found another one, it's sitting right there. So we say, you know what, maybe we want to put that in too. So this was just by luck, another one popped up on the route and said, well, you know what, while I'm here optimizing this, I'm going to slip this one in as well. So very simply down at the bottom here now, we're telling you, here's the total trip length, here's how many miles you've done. And a future enhancement here is we're working with John and his team to make mileage tracking and expense tracking built into this application. So as you as a sales rep click on a location, it's going to add you to the list. And then at the end of every day, month, week, whatever, it will automatically pull all them together, ship them off to the appropriate place, and we'll be able to place it in the system. Right here, we've decided on this was our final route. So we save this route. So if you're a salesperson, you could build your whole week out, and it's still flexible enough that every single day it can change dynamically with what you need. So I switched over here to a view that the mobile device has. The system knows what device you're on and intelligently switches over to be for that form factor. So you can see here, here's the routes that are right there for this person. And we go ahead and we plot that route out, and the mobile and now they off and go. So there it is. Very simple, very easy, same order. The system also is smart enough to be able to take you there. So on this trip, you'll see on this little menu that comes up, every time we go to a location, we can click on to go to the next location. It's take me there. It will give you turn-by-turn directions in your mobile device's map, which is very useful. So they're not looking at this map when they're driving, it tells them. When we get to a location, we do what we call our check-in and check-out. So when we were at the location, the first thing that happens is we check in. It tells you up in the corner, it's very successful. We checked in, we were there. When you check out, what we asked John to build, and his team has put into the product, is now a single page entry. Sales reps hated having to jump around, enter a task, put a phone number, update a contact. So John's team pulled together this piece, this screen for us that pops up, and it says, do you have comments? Yes, I had some comments. What branch is it? What partner? When you checked in? When you checked out? How long you were on duration for on-site? This is great for the management team. They want to know that you were there for a period of time having conversations. Also allows us to gauge whether this branch is really being productive. Also, what it allows us to do is add and take away contacts. So if I've met somebody brand new at this branch, I can add that straight in here, all in one place, and very simply just add it to the system. So you can watch this happening right here. So this is done on the mobile device. Sorry, I had to put it in there. And so we would save and check out. This is a one-click action for that sales rep. Keeps their life simple, easy, keeps them moving. We have good control, we have good data coming back. It helps them. And at any point, we have all these saved routes. So if we needed to add somebody into this, very simply, you just put them back out there, click on again, and you're able to drive to that place and add them into the system. So we just added somebody new in, it's going to do a new route, away we go. So I was going to switch in a minute to we're going to add a point of interest in. So they found a gap in their day, and they go out to the point of interest database, and they say, well, you know what? I want to go visit dentists today. So very quickly, they can find this dentist and pull it in and put it on the map too. Now we switched right here into that rep's manager's view. So as you saw in here, first of all, he's able to see all of the activities that's going on for this sales rep, and he can, with the same query, we don't have to build a separate query for the management layer. They run the same query, but because of the engine that John's team has built, those queries are dynamic enough to realize that I want to show my stuff and my direct reports, or my stuff and my subordinates, and you can do all that in a single query. So Chris is going to go down here and he's going to look at his branches for all of his people. Now this graphic here is going to demonstrate one of the things is as you pulled in and out, it clusters automatically for you. It makes this map much more dynamic. So I don't know whether you saw that. I skipped it pretty quick. Let me go back a little bit and see if I can show you that. Right here, watch the cluster happen. Did you see the cluster happen? So there was a number, and as soon as you zoomed in, it actually started showing you data points. He is able to, at this point, choose any of these. Say he wants to go visit, add a task, an event. Right from this location, he's able to add a task and says, hey, I'm coming to visit you this. When are you going to visit this client? I'm going to come with you. And for a very simple... Never thought of that.
Produce like a list version of the map pins.
Yeah. When you do that, so if you saw when we did that, which I'll show you maybe after here, actually that information is over here on the side in the route. So yeah, it's actually in that route. So I think we can. We'll show you a little bit after this. So as you look on this map here, as he's driving in and he's choosing all these different events, these are all configurable items. We as admins have control over what that menu is. And you can use that to custom hit information. So we can put Visualforce pages under a button, very simply, very easily, and we're able to drive out from there and use all sorts of activities. So he's able to look in here and see how many times Kevin Brown has touched this person, what he's done, and each of these are click-throughs, standard Salesforce stuff. You drive underneath that and away you go in. And here are some of the analytics that John's team has built. This tells me the MapAnything usage, so I'm able to see how many check-ins were done this week, how many routes were created today, how many created this week. This will switch to another one in a second. So this tells me users and what their usage is, who checked in, when they checked in, how many they're building. So we as admins managers and C-level executives can see what's going on in the tool and are able to follow it very easily. How many times they checked in at different places, how many times they touched different clients, all of that is possible. So this is the end of our demo here. Has anybody got any questions? He's already got the bunch, I can see him down the front. Anybody else got any questions?
You can. We have we say what's called shape layers, and we have the common administrative boundaries of cartography. So in terms of the United States, we have states, counties, zip codes that you can actually define shape layers as territories for role players. Now, what's interesting about MapAnything is what we call a map-centric user interface to Salesforce. In other words, you can actually update the records off the map individually, or you can actually use those territories, for example, as a mass action. For example, take everything in these two states and now assign it to this sales rep, or take everything in this zip code and assign a task for someone to go call them. You can?
Yep.
I missed the very beginning. I'm sorry. What's the underlying app? Google?
It's Tomtom. So we have a partnership with Tomtom. It's a very good partnership. One of the things that Tomtom is actually pretty phenomenal for is their traffic and their traffic history. So one thing Chris kind of skipped over, when you do your route planning a couple days out, we actually look at historical traffic conditions to predict the actual travel time between the points. So it's something accurate from a planning standpoint. I mean, obviously, a jackknife tractor trailer, you're not going to be able to account for that. But for the most part, you can lay out your week based on the normals, the time ranges. No, go ahead.
Fire it up.
All right.
So actually what I was doing was I plotted this in real time, and then I just showed you here comes the traffic in. So if you're traveling up this little piece in Florida today, don't. There's obviously something going on right there. You got a 6-minute delay, slow traffic.
Back to you.
Just check-ins. So, again, the check-ins work through Tomtom with data being passed back to Salesforce?
No, with the, in a sense, so basically it's 100% native, so this is Salesforce or this is Salesforce 1, so it's one and the same. Now with the check-ins, what we are doing when we do a check-in is we actually are grabbing a geolocation. So one thing that First Data doesn't do that you could in fact do is what we call geofencing. In other words, prevent someone from checking in if they're not actually within a certain distance or fence of that location. No matter what we do, when we check in, we actually capture distance from the actual point, so that can lead to some interesting conversations later if you have large field sales teams and they're on the golf course checking into their accounts.
So structurally, though, you're grabbing the geolocation of the device
At time of check-in.
at the time of check-in and putting that directly into Salesforce.
Storing it back into Salesforce against the record. Yes, we are.
Yes.
It is, because one of the core pieces of our intellectual property in this is what we call a true cross-object query engine. So for us, we can do basically complex relationships like that from one record to another. We can go both up the tree and down the tree, if you want to phrase it that way. So we could go from the account down to that custom account role, back up to a user. So we can go through junction objects to surface that data that you want to do something with. We can even go as far as querying into
a query. So we can build one query and then say, now let me have contacts at that set of accounts that have that.
We've actually used this engine itself to do queries that we can't do otherwise. So Salesforce, MapAnything allows us to write these very complex queries that normally just Salesforce falls over and goes, nope, can't do that. So it's really powerful.
You actually can, our format for those shape files is actually an Esri shape format. I'm guessing that we also can do KML and KMX, I think it is, but binary form. So you can actually have your own custom shapes. We can incorporate that into MapAnything. Out of the box, we're pretty solid for most cartography, most standard administrative political boundaries we have availability to.
Thank you.
Yes.
They're all reportable objects, so you can do whatever you want.
So our geocoder is actually the Tomtom Geo Cutter. So when we first install the application and you plot something in the map, we take that address, we go out, we geocode it, we store that against the record. Now when you're actually in the field and you're doing the check-ins, we're actually using the location off the device to compare the two. Say that again? As we add new records, those records are automatically geocoded either through a batch or the very first time you plot them on the screen, we'll go out and dynamically get geocodes. You don't have to even, what we've actually done is we've kind of removed the even thinking about the part of the whole geocoding. It's fairly transparent to the end user. It's a setup function. Yes? You can, actually. One of the interesting uses of our, for example, our cross-object query engine, right? For instance, common one. I want to go see accounts, and I want those accounts basically to only have open opportunities but no open cases, right? So that's looking down in two directions. And we can store that. Then what we can do is we can actually plot contacts at those accounts, and then, so a very complex query, and then we can right-click mass action and actually send them to a campaign. And at any time you can send a lead or campaign from MapAnything. Can you right-click somewhere on there?
Sure. Where do you want me to right-click?
Just right-click anywhere on there. Mass action. He doesn't have the field there. It's customizable, but adds a campaign, and you can do it right to a campaign. So you can do it. What's really nice is you can take that and then say 50 miles around Chicago, and now you can add a geocentric component to it you really can't do any other way. You say, I want a driving distance of an hour around Metro Chicago, and I want this particular type of account and this particular type of interest, and send it off.
Because remember, they did say driving distance, right? It's not a crow fly. That's driving. A what?
Another questions?
You know what I meant. You're picking on me, huh?
Yes. A future state's territory, can you?
So territories on our side are physical based.
Okay.
But they're always trying to rebalance the workload of those people. So for future planning, they need to look at a rebalance.
So the way we handle that, one of the things about MapAnything is it's on top of being a fantastic product, you do have the ability to develop on top of that. When it has come to complex territory management scenarios, we typically engage with the client, find out what those scenario requirements are, and we can actually build on top of the MapAnything product to meet those needs. So you could do it. It is international, so we support basically all over the world, both the maps, the geocodes, pretty solid. There's a few places where we don't have geocodes for, or we don't have map tiles for, but for the most part, where Salesforce is located, we're pretty much doing business there. You can, in fact, add the fields to the objects to see where the geocodes are. Correct. So one of the things that typically goes on is when you install our product, we have a configurator that actually configures workflow rules. So when the address is actually updated, we actually clear out the geocodes. So the next time it plots, it re-geocodes. And so as you improve your address quality, we improve the location.
The actual setup is so well executed. I mean, I'm biased, but it really is as simple. You choose the object and you say, it will try and find fields appropriate, and if it hasn't, it will recommend fields, and a single button click and it will prepare that data for you and actually create those fields with the appropriate permissions as necessary.
And actually create the workflow rules for the purging.
Yep.
No, it can be partial, and we will score it accordingly. So if all you have is a, say, city and state, we're going to put the pin at the center of the city. If all you have is if you have a zip code, city, state, we're going to put the pin at the center of the zip code. So you have the street, likewise. We're going to go down as far as you have the actual data for, and if it comes to it, and all you have is a country, we're going to put it at the capital of the country. So a lot of times my clients, when they first install, because they've got bad data, they're like, I don't have that many records in Washington, D.C., and my response is, no, you don't, but you have that many bad data records. So, that's basically the way we handle that. Go ahead.
Let's say I've got a database of 25,000 Salesforce, plot it all at one time,
Sure. In a single query, we can have up to 30,000 records in one query, and then you can have multiple queries on the map at the same time. It's been built for enterprise class companies. We have telecom companies that use this product, big ones, and they measure their records in the millions and the tens of millions count, not in the thousands. So we can handle the scale. Any other questions?
We're here. Come see us. We're more than willing to answer your questions one-on-one. Thank you for the time. We appreciate your attention.